is a blockbuster. This should inspire terror in your heart, especially if you are a young guy. And for guys who've been through life, older guys, been through some divorces, I really think twice before you watch this because it will bring a lot of memories up. I personally think it's worth it because when you deal with things over time, it allows you to logically see it from the outside and realize it wasn't just you. There's a lot of healing that can happen. But in this video, we're going to show really the madness that a lot of this stuff is hidden that you don't see on the outside. And in fact, a lot of the reason why society is not totally behind the men's movement isn't because they hate men, although, there are factors that will affect that. But I personally think, I've thought about it a lot, talked to a lot of people. I think the biggest thing that stops the men's movement from going mainstream and laws being changed and things like that is just simply lack of knowledge. It really is. It's a lack. The things that happen to men in the West happen behind closed doors, and they don't have a camera, and so it's basically in secret. We see, for example, we're seeing more and more videos about entitled. This one, they call this woman a Karen, right? So we see entitled Karen videos where the guy's, just minding his own business, and the woman is very, very unreasonable. And, you see that and you think, oh my gosh, I wouldn't want to live near her, or that's very unreasonable, but here's the thing. All these women that are in these videos, they go home, okay? And as anybody with experience dealing with people with bad behavior, is that people that have bad behavior, they show it more in private. So they don't want the world at large to know, right? So they keep it secret. And so they tend to be, and this is why you see people say, oh, he seemed like such a nice guy, or she seemed so nice. And then you find out that there was some horrific crime, right? It's because of that very thing, is that people don't want, no matter what they're doing in private, they don't want everybody to know, right? But what I've never seen the connection is with modern women, is like the actual reality of living with and dealing with modern women for men. I don't think it's understood. I really don't. I honestly believe that. I know a lot of guys are going to be cynical and say, oh, yes, they know, but they don't really understand. I've talked to a lot of people. And if you don't have experience with something, how would you know? Like, I can tell you this. I know a lot about what guys go through because I'm a content creator. Okay, so people contact me and tell me stories and show me, evidence. And so I learn from other people. But if I wasn't a, men's movement, MGTOW, whatever, content creator, free thinker, I wouldn't know those stories. Even me, like I wasn't born, with knowledge of, like hundreds of guys, really exasperating and impossible situations. So, even me, I've learned so much with Ronin in the last 6 years or whatever. I've been making these videos, just meeting people, hearing the stories, analyzing the stories, picking the stories apart. Because I don't necessarily believe every story I hear. I am very critical. I don't want to base my life on a falsehood or on a, let's just say, a story that's presented in a certain light. I always want to see it absolutely for what it is, and then to make a decision on it. And, I think that the West, I've been gone so long. I was home, obviously for the court case, but before that I was gone for like basically 30 years. I was gone so long that I didn't really know a lot of details about what were happening in the West. And so I know that other guys are like that too. I know a lot of you guys. You guys are working hard. You guys are busy. You hear the stories and you're like, oh my gosh, we're all learning, right? We're all, as we listen to more and more Manosphere stories, um, it really helps us because these stories are real life. Like this is real life here. I'm not talking any kind of, like basically we're reacting to what's actually happening to us. It's really self-defense. This whole movement, guys don't want to be part of any kind of thing, right? Guys just want to do their thing, but it's just become impossible. And these videos right here really show the impossibility of dealing with women today. Now, I'm going to say just as a qualifier. Now, of course, both of these videos are women getting arrested. And although there's no hint in this video of her being high or anything, the first one, there's a slight insinuation that she had just got kicked out of rehab. And so there's a slight insinuation that she might be drinking or something. But I want to really also delve into that, and I will in the next video, because the officers never said they smelled anything on her. And I listened to the whole video twice. I did not get the sense that she actually was high. What I got the sense is that, as usual, everybody in the comment section started to defend her and saying, and a lot of people like in the program, right? They're like commenting, oh, she's like having difficulty, her bottom, you got to forgive her. I don't agree with that. And I've been in the program for a long fucking time, okay? These behaviors that we're seeing here, nobody's obviously drunk or high. Okay, this is the reality today. This is the way women are acting. It isn't just when they're getting arrested. You'll see so many things in these videos that you'll be like, oh my gosh. Like the manipulation, the lies, the never ending, like the goalposts just keep fucking changing, right? They just keep fucking changing the whole fucking time. And, you can see before I start, I want to just get you ready. Like, it's like the desire to make you exasperated. It's to drive you over the edge. And this is very much a female trait, is to drive a man to what's called reactive abuse. So basically, getting him where he's not himself. Getting him so upset, right, that he just can't, he's not himself, right? It's the exact same thing as if you have a dog, right? And if you, keep taunting that dog a period of time, there's going to be a point where that dog will not act like himself. That dog, after severe taunting, will finally lash out. And that's what you see with any living thing, right? Is that they only have so much patience. We all only have so much patience. Everybody, every human on earth. We have patience, but there's a point where it just gets too much, right? And, part of emotional maturity as you get older is like getting better and better at dealing with these things. But I think no human, in these two videos, I actually have great sympathy for the cops. I mean, my gosh, they really show like patience in these videos. It's incredible, actually. I to give it away, I mean, part of it, I think that society really needs to face up to the fact that there is no way to deal with a modern crazy woman. Like, there's nothing we can do. Jordan Peterson said it a while ago, like that man cannot control. And he used the wrong words, and so those words got taken out of context. But what he meant was, or what I'm guessing he meant, or what I mean, is that when somebody is actively taunting you, okay, aggressively attacking you, undermining you, lying to you, being violent with you, and also passive aggressive, is that there just is a limit to what a man or woman can handle. Jordan said that about men, but I say the same thing about women. I mean, we're all human, right? There's a limit, okay? And I don't think anybody can disagree with that. We all have limits. And what I see today is I see a kind of a new type of character that we didn't see before. And I think it's protected by the courts. I think there's a reason why this evolved for women to act this way. What we see is basically a Wolverine with endless tricks up her sleeve, endless strategies, endless things that frustrate you, endless things and you can see in these videos, just attack after attack after attack and frustration after frustration. And then, you just don't have any tools. And I'm going to end this introduction on this is imagine, I really, especially if you're there are conservative females who listen to Ronin Man. I really want you to think about this one. Just think about the difficulty. I mean, you can see the difficulty with these officers, right? In this case, one of them, they have a female officer, but in the other ones, it's male officers. But there's 2 cops, right, or 3, and they have body cams. They have the law on their side. They have a clear, reason for arresting the person. There's nothing. It's black and white. Okay, they have a clear reason. And they show great restraint. And you can tell and you can see in these videos that even with multiple people with body cams that capture everything, sound, sight, a car that's completely armored, a uniform that protects them, a job that basically is paying them to deal with these people, right? There's a lot of understanding that cops are not dealing with nice people, right? When you look at, and of course the law on their side, definitely, policemen are trained in the law, they know the law, and contrast that with an average guy. What do we know about the law? We really don't know that much. Nobody's on our side, there's no body cams, there's nobody watching, there's nobody protecting, and there's no record. So these incidences just go unrecorded, unpunished. But my theory is that these things are what's really, I don't think every man that talks about on these podcasts will all talk about how the money in the divorce case and custody and all that. And of course these are very important issues. But I think that this Wolverine, never-ending, vicious attacks and the total lack of any possible method that men can use to defend themselves or to get out of the situation, to stop the abuse, creates a cauldron that I think that men are just saying no. I just don't want any part of this. And again, I think that if society understood how incredibly difficult it's gotten, we've allowed women so much entitlement, and you'll see it in these videos, that even 3 cops with guns and a car and a taser have to resort to the taser. They can't deal with that. They don't have to go to lethal force, but they got to go to the taser, right? They got to go to the taser because that's my door slamming shut with the wind. It's such a nice breeze in here. They got to go to the taser because regular methods don't work. Think about it. Watch these videos and think about it. What would the cops do? You know what I mean? And now imagine yourself, especially if you're let's say you're a woman watching this and you consider yourself, let's say progressive or feminist. Just think about it from the man's perspective for a second. How in the hell would a young guy deal with this? Nobody watching, no recording. I mean, it goes without saying that these people have problems in these videos and that they've done this endless times. This is the way they act. Okay? They are finally caught The odds are very low. Most of us, criminals get away with stuff for years until they finally get caught, right? So that's what happens. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing the final result. But you have to know, and any man who's dated women or any lesbian who has dated modern women will tell you that this stuff is really common, actually. Like, it's like incredibly frustrating. And I don't think the men have really shared about this one. I don't think there's any way to kind of like put it into words. And whenever guys try to describe, they'll say things like, oh, my ex was crazy and stuff. And again, I don't always believe that because I don't always believe guys. They're not always telling the truth. And I don't, the word crazy is obviously. But when you see the actions, that's when you say, oh, that's incredible. Like, that's unreasonable. There's no way a man could deal with this stuff on his own. It's just impossible. So let's just look at a little bit of this one. I'll just turn this up.
You're arresting me for stupid run.
Okay, so this one here, she's in the back of the car. So you can watch the whole video, and you should watch both these videos. You should watch in full at least once. But I just wanted to give you kind of a taste of what these guys are dealing with. So they've arrested her. She's in the back of the car. She's under, I guess, I don't know if that's the right word. She's under arrest. She's in the back of the car. She's got handcuffs on. And she's kicking and damaging the car.
Let me out! Please let me out! I live in a $3 million house right down the street, and you won't let me out my neighborhood.
Let me get your pepper spray.
Okay, I sped this up because it's just long. I can watch these videos, in, 2 times, or I think this is 1.5 times.
If you do that, you got
I mean, I f***ing
I'm
turds.
going to pepper spray.
Dude, I live in a $3 million house down the street.
Just hear
Can
me
you
out.
write me up?
Hear me this.
My daughter, I'm gonna lose my daughter today.
Listen to me carefully.
Look at
If you
this.
kick the window,
That's my head. I didn't kick the window.
Whatever you do, you bang your head in the window. You don't sit.
It just goes on and on. So you really got to watch the whole thing because what you're seeing is such a. It's really it's like modern women have just perfected this art of winning. And they're winning on everything. They're winning even cops. Like this cop, you can just see the only reason why the cop is exasperated, and you can see it later in the video. He's like, oh man, when he's on his own, when he's walking back to his car, he's just like, this isn't, basically isn't worth it. She puts him down. This woman tells him they have small dicks. What else does she say? They only make $20 an hour. They're jealous of her. They ask her if she wants to see their boobs. Every single trick. Like, these things that don't make a man feel good. Like, like the small dick thing. Like, it's so frustrating getting attacked in this way, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, everything just hits. And it's the endless thing. That's really what it is. It's one thing after the other. You know what I mean? You make $20 an hour, and it's Thanksgiving, and you probably just want to eat turkey. But I live in a $3 million house down the street. She just got divorced, right? I would very much argue that was probably purchased by her husband. That $3 million house down the street that she owns. It's her house and she lives in. Yeah. Why do you own that house? It's because she's pretty sexy, right? She's pretty hot, right? So that's another problem here. Okay, so anyway, this is the way she's acting. Now you can see this is 2 minutes into the video. This video goes on for 23 minutes, right? It's never ending.
Oh my God! You're so tight.
Here it's too tight.
Please let me out of this shit. Are you taking me all the way to jail? Can we just get this over with because I'm gonna lose my daughter today?
So now she's already changed her story, right? One is that her arms are falling off and all that, right? And so then he's loosening them, right? And then basically her strategy was to try to let her go, right? She didn't care about the handcuffs, and they weren't too tight. And so the guy's in there patiently loosening them, and he knows, right? He's a cop, right? He knows that they're not too tight. But anyway, this is kind of like the I mean, this is what we're putting cops through. Imagine what, I mean, it's just like, if this was your wife, I mean, and so he's loosing her, right? And then she says, "Oh, don't worry about that. Just, can't I just go?" He hasn't even like, he's only working on one side, right? He hasn't even worked on the other side. And she's already saying, "Can't we just go?" So it's like, she's now saying like, let's not waste time with the handcuffs. Let's just go and let me go. So the very thing she asked for, he's doing. And then she's already saying like, that's wasting time and we got to get the show on the road here, Okay. So I mean, I can, there's so many comments in this video. I could go on for like, you could make a 10-hour video on this 20-minute ship if you went through it, really.
You're not being questioned at this time.
I have a right to talk to my attorney. I have a right to talk.
She doesn't have a right yet because they haven't questioned her.
Bring me all the way to the jail, please. I was aggravated.
There she's trying to say she's sorry for a second.
God, this is the most inhumane thing ever. I'm not a criminal. I don't get this. My face is falling off. I'm sorry, all my fake fingernails came off.
Okay, all right.
I didn't know it's weird. I would have backed it up. Okay. What do you think, my new Nike's off?
Yeah, slip them on.
What?
Slip them off.
Oh my God, you guys are fucking. This is disgusting.
So now she went so crazy they had to change cars, and I think she broke something or whatever. So anyway, they're moving her to another car.
Where?
Right here. Put your left foot up. There you go. Now put your.
You guys can pick me up. I don't know what the fuck you want.
So like, well, I guess what happened here is that she was so aggressive, in handcuffs, in the back of a cop car. Like, think about this. Imagine what a single man, alone in his house, a 19-year-old guy. I mean, she's not old, right? Young guys are dealing with this. Young guys are dealing with this impossible situation. This is a literally impossible situation. There's nothing anyone can do. Even the cops, they're just absolutely at their wits' end, like totally at their wits' end with this one. And you'll see there's like a ton of videos like this. And guys have been saying like she does stuff like this and like no one's listening because it's not recorded. Nobody cares. It's always like the same thing. It's like, what did you do to deserve this? How did you cause this, right? They never ask us about the cops so much, but like for regular guys, it's always like that, right? So we have this woman now, she's been pepper sprayed twice, and she won't take off her shoes, and she pretends like she doesn't know where the car is.
I just do them for the weekend.
So there she, now this is also interesting. The female officer comes in and sympathizes with her, and basically she plays good cop, bad cop. And I think it's interesting about this is the way that she's much more reasonable with a female cop. You know what I mean? Like, that's the same thing. It's another cop, right? You're under arrest. Like, you ain't getting out, which is what she wants. But she's so biased against men is that she is like, suddenly, like, here comes this woman and she's like sympathizing with, now she's still totally crazy. I mean, this woman has a difficult time with her, no question about it. But I just want you to notice, like, that is, kind of what guys are saying is like women are like biased against us. Like, they basically hate us. And we're called hate, but they actually hate us. Like, you can see it in their actions. You can see it in who she, treats which way. These cops are totally reasonable. I mean, they're more than reasonable, these cops. That's why these videos are so great, is because, like, the cops are just, I guess they fired all the cops that were, like, like a little bit heavy-handed, and they've hired all these new guys. Like, these new guys, like, fuck, man. I'm amazed how patient they are, to be honest. But her bias to the woman is interesting because, like, let's say, for example, a man tells you that a woman has acted like a Wolverine, like this. Just this total barrage of absolutely outrageous behavior. She's been violent. She's accused you. She's hit you. She's scratched you. She broke windows. She did everything with no cause. Like, there is no cause. The cops didn't do anything wrong. The only thing the cops did was she was driving like an absolute maniac, apparently, next to a parade of young kids. And so she was reported, and then the cops came and got her. And she's claiming that it's because divorce ended today is why and she's like, I didn't kill anybody, didn't hit anybody. That's not the point. Like, erratic driving near children with a vehicle is very, very scary, right? So of course the cops have to stop that, right? And so here you have a woman, like, if you asked her experience, if she couldn't see this video, let's say this woman just in theoretical world, she came in and then she dealt with her, she'd say, well, she's not so bad. Like, and then the guys would come in and say, wait, fuck, oh, geez, hey, guys are just being hit with stuff that's like impossible. And that's the whole point. They're making it like impossible to deal with women. Like totally impossible. And you could date, in the West, you could date many women, right? You could date, over your life, right? You might date 10 women or whatever. And you might be married once or twice, the average guy, right? The thing is, it doesn't, and here's something that I think women really need to think about, is that it doesn't matter. In other words, sometimes women will say, like, they'll say, it's not all women, right? And that's true. It's not all women. The problem is this. The problem with these type of situations is they are so impossible. Okay, and they're so dangerous for a man's future. Like, any part of this that a man, if there was not cops, it was a man, just a regular guy, her boyfriend, her husband, made one single mistake, his life is ruined. And I just don't think that society appreciates that. It's not that this is difficult, because this is extremely exasperating. It's the fact that once he's made a mistake, okay, once he's gone into her trap, the man is absolutely defenseless and will be utterly destroyed by the court system. And so that's the problem. It's not that all women do this. If all women did this, it would be actually easier, because you would say, oh, okay, that I don't want to, date in America, right? Or, you know what I mean? You'd be like completely, it would be common knowledge, right? If every time, let's say if something happens, you fall off an airplane, you go down, right? People just, they make it a point not to fall off airplanes because they're like, well, wait a second, I know what's going to happen, right? So the problem is it doesn't happen all the time. But what I think society and women and the courts are not appreciating is that it doesn't matter. Like, I've had many good experiences with women, and I've had many nice chicks, actually. I've been with so many women, and so many of them have been nice. I mean, a lot of them were Japanese or other countries in other countries. So I mean, I'm not saying, like, I am not saying that all women are the same. I mean, cultures are different, experiences are different, and I think it's ultimately, why do you see so much like vitriol and hatred from the West? It's the legal system that protects this behavior. You just don't have this in countries where, I mean, this is my theory, of course, but countries where things are more reasonable, people listen to reason, and they'll look, okay, who was wrong here, right? They want to automatically destroy the guy's life, right? In the West, it's become, it's the courts that have created this. And again, it doesn't matter if it's all women. If you just have one experience like this in your life as a man, your life is very likely forever altered and changed. You need really, anybody, like, if you're a guy on the fence and you're not really understanding what guys are going through, just imagine being alone with this one. Just imagine. I mean, watch the whole video. Like, for sure, watch the whole video. And just imagine. If it was only you, no cops, no video, no women, no guns, no pepper spray, no protection, no record, and also, too, no belief in you. The court system will always believe a officer of the law over a civilian, right? And you could argue that, but I mean, it does make sense, right? Because there's a lot of crazy people, right? And so there is somewhat of a screening process to get a job, any kind of job, right? Some homeless guy, you know what I mean? Like, there's like people that are just absolutely nuts, right? And there's some kind of quality control to get a job, right? And to get a job as a police, there's some quality control, right? Whereas to be a homeless guy taking meth on the street, there's no test, right? You can just go and do it, right? So I'm not saying it's great training or everybody is, passes is great, but I'm saying it does make a difference. And so because of that difference, society realizes, okay, there's a little bit more likelihood he's going to be telling the truth, right? So when you're a man dealing with these women, you don't have that. Okay. In fact, it's the opposite. And this is another key part of the puzzle to understand the utter exasperation of modern men is you have to understand that not only are you not a cop, okay, you're not trusted, you're not a cop, you don't have any of these tools, okay, you don't have the body cam, you don't have the safe place to put somebody, right? Because when people are going totally crazy, like, what do you do with them? Like, it's so difficult. If you've ever been around a person who just went totally nuts, like, you have to restrain them, but it's like, what do you do? Like, how do you, it's totally impossible for a dude to restrain a woman. Like, that ain't going to happen. Well, it could happen, but then the guy's going to jail, right? And now we're also putting people in jail when they try to restrain people and they make a mistake, right? So it's like the idea that you can restrain anybody as a civilian, if you have that crazy idea in your mind, you're out of your mind. Don't restrain people. Like, just fucking run. Run. And I mean run. Like, run from the country. Don't stay in these places. Your life is, like, seriously at risk. I believe that. This is absolutely, that's why partly why I'm here, is because I believe it's so bad that it's just absolutely impossible to deal with. And the only guys that don't know that are people who haven't had a lot of experience, don't hear other stories, and, deluded people who have been through it, but they just keep doing the same thing over and over again. Maybe because it's childhood programming or whatever. But it has become impossible to deal with these women. And again, it's not all women. And it doesn't have to be. And I just ask women, like the women watching, just think about this. Okay. So let's say that your friend, let's just say the M word, right? Their life was taken by somebody. Okay, but let's say on a date. Okay. Now, let's give it a specific situation. So let's say they met a guy who seemed nice at the supermarket. And they went on like 6 dates. And then finally she went home with him. And then there was a brutal crime and her life was snuffed out. Okay. Now, if you were traumatized, obviously you'd be sad, right? You'd be like grieving your friend. You would be traumatized and you would like forever look at the world differently. And the reason why is very understandable, because things that seem to be safe are not safe, right? The supermarket, 6 dates. These are things that usual people do to protect themselves. And when those things don't work, you have to question everything, because you're like, wait a second, those safeguards, those protections, they didn't work for that girl. So like when someone comes up with this easy answer, just do this or do that, and especially as you get older, you get more and more cynical about this kind of knee-jerk advice, because you realize that you have experience and you realize that those things didn't work, for this case or that case. And you realize, holy shit, like, at some level, you just kind of realize, like, one of the great parts of that book, How I Found Freedom from an Unfree World, is the guy said that, like, anybody could just take your life and then there is no justice because there's no cop inside your house, right? Like, you're already gone. And then, maybe the cops put it together and then they put the guy in jail or whatever. He gets, gets the chair, right? But I'm saying that because it's so unlikely. And it's like the likelihood is zero. But, there's like real justice served, So, but it's not going to happen. But not only that, like, you're brainwashed into thinking that guy going to jail means anything. The only thing that means anything is that you're still alive. Okay, that's what you want. You want to be alive. This whole idea of justice is just bullshit. It's just brainwashing. It's like I'm looking down the street right now. I'm looking down from my apartment and I see a road with painted lines in it. And we're trained to trust that one guy's going to drive on one side, the other guy's going to drive on the other side. And so we believe that painted lines have some kind of magical protection. Otherwise, we'd be scared when we drive because we think, wait a second, those lines don't mean shit, right? And so what happens when someone crosses a line and hits your car and totals your car and almost kills you? You suddenly, you realize the line means shit, right? And you start to get very, very nervous. It even becomes difficult to drive because you realize how vulnerable you are. Now, eventually you overcome the trauma and, you take some solace in the fact that you've driven a long ways and that didn't happen. And, but it's not an easy thing to do. It's really quite difficult, actually. Now, the thing with men is that this is happening to guys. I think that's what people don't realize. Like your son is going to have to deal with stuff like this. Like women who just absolutely are impossible. Even 3 cops cannot deal with them. With tasers, guns, cameras, cars, like back seats that are like bars on them. They still are absolutely at their wits' end. Like, and pepper spray. Like every possible like tool, like to go from the most benign thing to the most serious thing, right? The gun, right? They have all these tools and they have the right to use them by law. And yet even then, one person couldn't do it. You need 2, right? You need a radio where you're calling in whatever support you need. Even the 2 people are not alone when you really think about it. Those 2 cops, if they need backup, they call it in. So there's like, not only is there 2 people, right? But there easily could be another 6 people, right? So even with all that backup, modern women have gotten so good at manipulating the system, so good at playing the games, that it's got to a point where it's like impossible to deal with them. The risk is so high. And people will say, oh, no, this is a reality. This is really men are going through. And like, men can't deal with it. It's not possible. And that's why men are walking away. It's not because they're biased. And in fact, I would go so far as to say, and I deal with a lot of guys, a lot of MGTOW guys. I'm the only MGTOW guy who has summits where I meet people in person. I consult people in my unblackmailable. I deal with people in real life. I go to their houses. They come to my house. We go places. We do stuff. Like, I know these people. And I will tell you this, and I believe this. I mean, this is the truth, okay, is that the guys that I deal with are loving guys. And there are a few exceptions, okay, that you wouldn't consider like cuddly, you know what I mean? But a lot of the guys, and it makes sense logically when you think about it. The reason why they came to my channel and other channels like this is because they really want love. Like, that's really what they wanted. Like, that's why they're so frustrated. So in other words, somebody who doesn't care about women, doesn't love women, they're not going to be that frustrated because they just go and do whatever they want. Like, they're not trying to do something. The frustration, and this, I think this is the men's movement in general, is full of loving guys. And I don't know if that's ever been said, but that has been my experience. And it makes logical sense because they're the ones that are the most frustrated, right? Who fights? Like, think about this. Let's think about another scenario. Like, there's a beautiful tree in the neighborhood, right? And then they're going to cut it down. Who fights to protect that tree? Tree people, right? Who fights? They're out there every day fighting for it, frustrated. It's because they care so much about the tree. My mom's like that. She fucking loves trees, right? Any tree gets cut down, she's like, my mom, like, she doesn't even want to walk down that block for a while because she really considers trees to be an important part of nature, right? So you see that in people's lives, right? The reason why guys are coming to my channel is because they really want to have a healthy, good life. You know what I mean? Like the things that make a man healthy, right? The natural state of affairs. That's what they want. Now, I'm not saying they never and they're blindly go for that. A lot of the guys accept that it's not possible today, and they do move on. It is like, or they go overseas trying to find that kind of happy situation. Now, other guys like me, they kind of realize that, that although I very much wanted to get married when I was 19, and I talked about this. My girlfriend back then, she was Very nice person, actually, too. I still know her. She was a very nice girl, very good girl. The only reason why Ronin Man's not married at 19 was because she became very religious. We were both Christian, but she became very religious, wanted to be a missionary, and she wanted to, you know what I mean? She really wanted to take on that life. And that's what she chose, and that's exactly what she did with her life. So she was totally serious about it. And she told me, she said, you gotta, because I was kind of falling out of the faith, and from just going to college and studying and stuff, I was like, I don't know about this stuff. And then she was like, no, because here's the thing, guys, she loved me. She still does. There's no doubt about it. And she was the love of my life. But the thing is, she asked something of me that was impossible, that I couldn't even do for somebody I loved. She said, basically, you gotta, at least pretend. She didn't say this, but like when a girl really loves you and she wants you to do something that will allow her to live the life she wants. And she was kind of like, she never said this out loud, but she really wanted to stay with me. Okay. Now, I really want to give you this situation because this is a deep insight into my personality. And I think a lot of guys. And she basically said, at first she said, you got to be more, we got to do more Bible study, got to do this. And I was kind of like, I'm not really, feeling it so much as before, And then she's like, okay. She's like, no, you have to do it. You have to. And then like a couple of days later, she'd come back and say, well, but like, I'm going to have Bible studies in the house and you're going to be there. And like, you have to part of it, like she was really begging me. Again, this girl loved me and still loves me. And I loved her, but she was asking, at the end of the day, she kind of broke down at the end. She kind of said like, kind of like whatever's in your own mind is in your own mind. But like, she never said it. She never went this far, but she started to get to that point where I thought she was going to say it. Like, just pretend, just pretend and be my husband. Let's make kids. And then, I'll do it. And I'll work with the kids in education and everything. And you just be a good man and support me in my thing and believe in God and go to church with me. And like that was, she kind of like, you can see like, this is a girl who was very religious and she was making concessions kind of as long as I kind of like, and I was like, no, I can't even do that. Like the reason why I can't do it is what I said is like, I don't know how I'm going to think in the future because my, a belief is something that I can't control because I can't be dishonest. It's my personality. It's impossible for me. And that's why, once people know me, they totally believe all my videos because they're like, my basic personality is I cannot bullshit. That's why I think about how extreme the channel is compared to normal life. It's because it's the way I think. It's my life. And I can't be any other way. I don't know why I was born this way. You know what I mean? I'm very stubborn in that way. I will not bend. And I mean, even if someone was going to kill me, like that's my personality. Just like you see in a movie, the guy who won't like he's being interrogated, by the cartels or whatever, and he just won't tell them anything. And then they're just like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And the guy just doesn't tell him. That's the way I am about truth. Like that is the way I am. Like that is fucking Ronin Man to the fucking core. And I can't change it. Like I wish sometimes I could have more flexibility. You know what I mean? Like I wish sometimes I could like be a little bit more flexible. But we're all born with what we're born with, right? But anyway, that's a long way of saying that I just basically told her like there's, if you want me, you're going to get me. And whatever I end up believing as I change, as I grow, I said I might be more religious. Like I might become super into it. I might we might be missionaries and I might go with you and I really realize I was on the wrong track and I might just suddenly really support you. I don't know if I was that verbal at that age because I was only 19, but I'd been here with her since I was 15, right? And it was a great relationship. And we wanted to get married. I wanted to get married. And the only reason why I didn't is because she asked the one thing I couldn't do is not be myself. And that was impossible for me. Even for the girl I loved. And I grieved over here for years because I really did love her. And she didn't do anything wrong, And I didn't do anything wrong. It was just like she was asking me of an impossible thing. And that really was a good for me, that experience, because although it was difficult, and even today, I sometimes think like, what if I would have married her, right? She's got like 5 kids. She's super happy. She looks great for her age. You know what I mean? She kept herself up. She's positive. She's a good person. Like, there's no doubt about it. This chick is a very nice person. Probably, I got to say, I mean, the nicest, best girl I dated in my entire, isn't that crazy? The odds are so low. And guys might think, oh, he's stuck on her. No. I'm like a mechanic who worked on 700 cars. And I can tell you which one is, you know what I mean? The fastest, the best. It has the, like statistically, which one has the best rebuild, which one has the least amount of wear. Like, I'm just looking at it and telling you the truth. This was the best wife I ever met, which is strange because the odds are low. But that was what it was. And I grieve over that too, because what are the odds that I'm going to meet the best fucking girl through my friend, his sister, and then I'm going to be like 15 and wanting to be like serious, because I'm a very healthy guy. I like to bond with people, right? I naturally bond, right? And I really bonded with her, and I still bonded with her. And I realize now, as I'm older, like, we're still good friends, and who knows what would happen. But my mom said once is she wouldn't be surprised if her husband passed away and like she called me up and like we ended up going out. Like, you never know, right? And the thing is, I'm not against that. The thing is I'm not for it either. I'm not looking for that. I'm so happy with my life. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking about, again, the gray scale that I always talk about. The 1 to 100, the 1 to 1,000,000. Where does my feelings lie? Like, I have very strong trust in this person. And I know her quite well. And I've seen the way she lived her life, and it's fucking good way, right? The only problem is the one thing is the reason why it would never work is because it would be the same story. She's still the same person. That was actually who she was. And I actually have become more and found out myself more and have become even more not religious, right? So that part could never work. But I mean, just as far as loving and being two compatible people, my basic thing about that relationship and that person and what that experience was is that I believe that religion stopped a great relationship. That's what I think. Like, a series of beliefs ruined what would have been a great love story. You know what I mean? But that doesn't take apart the fact that it ain't going away. You know what I mean? That belief that she has, and she has every right to that belief. Many people have that belief, and it's great. But for me, if I don't believe something, I just can't. There's no way I can fake it, and there's no way I can lie. So, going back to, where was I going with that? I don't know where I went. You guys are gonna have to go back and see where I was. Anyway, I'll just keep going on with that. I'm sure it was definitely related to this. But anyway, I think I'm glad I told the story, because I think a lot of guys kind of wonder about me, like, where is he coming from? I am a loving guy. I wanted to get married, man. I was totally into it. And I still, if there was a perfect world, if there was a planet spinning, as Father Guido Sarducci said in the Saturday Night Live, the coming and the going planet. It's coming at us as fast as it's going away. And it's just like this planet. The only difference is they eat their corn like this. And he goes vertical, and like everybody's cracking up, right? If there was another planet where you could have a happy marriage and that particular girl was not religious, I mean, I would happily go into that. That I am a kind of guy. I love kids. I love like bonding. I love growing together. I mean, I'm into all that stuff. The problem is that the stuff I talk about on the channel, right? That it's impossible. And these women right here, they're just impossible. And you're going to deal with them. I had one woman like this, and there's just nothing. There's nothing you can do. The only thing you can do is run for your fucking life, which is what I did. I had an American woman like this, and I just ran for my life because I knew I could see the writing on the wall. There was no fucking way anything was going to work out. This fucking thing was hopeless, you know. And I mean with a capital H and a capital O all the way down to two S's, right? There was no possible way that I was going to escape and my life being destroyed by this woman. Like I could see that writing on the wall. There was no way. This was a vindictive, angry, and just basically, let's not use the words. Let's just say it was like this type of person, right?
But I was just letting him know that I would vacuum his car.
Okay.
Because that's really yucky, like fingernails.
Oh, no. Decisions and
That's hilarious.
Let's see.
It'll be quite fun.
Okay, that long.
This is so tight. I'm the president of this neighborhood.
Okay, now I'm going to go to the second one here. Let's see, where's my glasses? Let me go to the second one. Okay, so the second video is you can read it here, entitled Daughter Loses It When basically finally told no. And I don't know if that's a great title, but basically what it is she's the daughter of the guy with the car. And she wouldn't get out of the car. And you can watch the whole video to get the whole story, so I won't retell the whole story. But just a little clip here, the way she is.
You're texting me. What are you doing?
Behind your back, you're under arrest.
No, I'm not under arrest. I'm under cardiac arrest. No,
Yes, under arrest for trespassing and
you
resistance.
can't do that.
We can.
No, you're not going to. You're not going to. Stop. Stop.
I wish we didn't have to.
Stop.
I wish we didn't have
Stop.
to. We tried to work it out with you.
So you can see here that this is only one little thing. This one here is a piece of work. I mean, really, the terrifying thing about this one is that she is what's the word? Well, she's the daughter of the guy with the car, right? So why I chose this video is because it's not just women you're dating. Okay, this is the daughter of this guy. His daughter. And it is like literally impossible to deal with her. Like there's nothing he could have done. There's nothing. He finally had to call the cops, and then this is the way she acts, right?
Stop.
For whatever reason you decided.
Stop policing me.
So like, how long is this video? This video's like 20. What is it? 60. I can't even read it. I got my glasses on. But it's like, stop policing me. They're police, right? Then stop policing. She just constantly says illogical things, like moves the goalpost every 2 seconds. And again, I know a lot of people watching the video that commenting that she got kicked out of rehab, and they think that is the reason. People assume that's because she's on drugs, but I don't know. You can watch this video, and I partied a lot when I was young, and I'll tell you, I don't think she is on anything. I think she's very, very lucid, actually. And her logic is just brutal. She's very sharp-witted, actually. And she pulls everything out. Like, her ultimate goal is to control everybody, exasperate everybody, be the center of attention, take total control. Because she wants, as all these women are talking about, they're suing the cops. She wants to even control the cops, right? She wants to, put them in jail, right? This woman's a Wolverine. I mean, she's young, right? I mean, it's just, I could I could choose 20,000 parts of this each second, and you're going to get something like just, what? She's so outrageous.
I'm sorry that this is the way that we have to go.
This is not the law.
And you can see like how friendly her father is, and the cops, like, they're being so, like, they're having to, like, kid gloves with her. Kid fucking gloves. And this woman's trespassing. They could have just taken her right away. If it was a man, I can't just imagine the amount of legal problems cops have because they have to deal with these women. And also time. These cops are busy, right? They got stuff to do. There's like real crimes going on. But they got to deal with each thing that they're involved in. And then now they're involved with her. And it's like incredible time waste. This thing should have taken, like, basically, if you watch this video, here's the way this video should have gone. She's sitting in the car. She won't get out. Her dad's like, nope, nope, I'm done with it. I'm done. And when you see the way she acts, you'll be like, oh my gosh, this guy's a saint, right? But he finally he just couldn't, he was like, no, I'm not taking you to Starbucks. He's like, get out of my car. Like his own daughter. And you can tell the guy's torn up about it, right? He's not yelling at her. He's not going crazy. But all that happened when the cops first came in is basically like, they said, look, he doesn't want you in the car. And then the girl's like, blah, 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 and he's like, and then the woman's like, basically, I think the guy said, like, look, we're not here to cause any trouble. Like, just stand up. Don't stand in the car. Sit down on the bench or sit over there or walk around. Do whatever you want, but just don't be in the car. Like, and then she's like, and then he's like, look, the guy is like, so he must have undergone like 100,000 hours of sensitivity training. Like Jordan Peterson's going to be forced to go through, because he's just like so patient with her. And finally he says, look, like if you don't do it, like eventually we're going to take you to jail. And like, that's going to be so dumb. Like you just have to stand up, get out of the car. That's all you got to do. Do whatever you want. You're free to go. Like we're not taking you away. You're not giving you a citation. Like just stand up. Don't be in his car. He doesn't want you there. And then she's just like, nope, I'm not being arrested. A cardiac arrest. Like, and then of course putting down the cops, everything. These videos are just the exasperation on these cops. And again, like, for any of you men out there, you got to know, like, that's your future. If you date Western women, you're going to have a woman like this. I finally had one, and I got to tell you, there's nothing you can do. It's so impossible that you can't believe life has come to this. You know what I mean? You're just like, wait, someone's going to listen to me. And this is the sweet opium that keeps guys in the matrix, is the belief that somehow everybody's going to come to their senses. Like the life, they're going to change the laws and they're going to be fair with me. And I think what I want to do with this video and really show you that it's actually the opposite, is that you're living in a fantasy. Sadly, you shouldn't be, because what you're saying should be true. Unfortunately, it's not true. And in fact, these women are the women that are winning. And the police will back them up. In these cases, the women did get arrested. But any man dealing with these women is going to be arrested. Right away. Right away. Fucking right away. Let's see.
I'm not resisting. No, stop. I have to search. You're molesting me. You're sexually assaulting me. You are sexually assaulting me.
So she accused, as soon as they like moved her, they accused she accused the female officer of sexually assaulting her, right? So, like the believe all women thing, right? Is it only, you basically have to believe all women. And again, when we talk about believe all women, that whole movement, that whole like, what do you call it? Hashtag or like societal belief or zeitgeist or whatever, that was based on believing women when there was no camera, right? The guy was not a cop and they were alone in their bedroom. Okay. So it was like, there's two stories, believe women, right? And the whole logic behind believe all women is that women have no reason to claim sexual assault when it's not true. Like when you don't put guys in jail, like basically put every guy in jail that every woman has said has sexually assaulted her, because even if a few innocent guys go to jail, you're going to get these bad guys. And that was the logic. That logic, it seems fine on surface, it makes sense. You'd rather like catch a few innocent guys or, than let some guy go and, take out 20 people with a knife, right? Sometimes you make these comparisons in life, right? You know what I mean? Like some guy might be driving fast, but he's actually a race car driver and he's driving safe, but you got to give him a ticket because otherwise other people can't drive safe that speed, right? So you understand that there are ways of thinking about that. But the thing is that it's impossible for guys. It's impossible. She claimed sexual assault in this video. And there's a camera, 2 cameras, okay? Probably more, because there's 2 body cam, and then there's also the police car has cameras, right? So there's at least 2 cameras. We're in broad daylight. There's 3 witnesses. And the woman frisking her the cop is a female, is a woman. Everything's on camera, and she's claiming sexual assault. And this is what the Believe All Women will not accept, is that what men say is like, this happens all the time now. And they say, well, no, you're just... And the thing is that no matter how many times we catch it on camera, like, it's like, no, that doesn't happen. Believe all women. So I guess believe all women in this case is very difficult, because first you got to believe the woman who's claiming she's sexually assaulted in this video. And then you have to believe the woman who said she didn't. I think it's only believe all women if they are saying somebody else did it to them. I don't think I think that's really what the whole movement was about, right? Insanity. And guys have been saying for years, especially guys who are getting divorced in family courts, guys are always saying that women are making false allegations, like every single day. It's so bad. False allegations are so bad that there was a law firm in Vegas, and I read their thing because I was in Vegas. I read they had what would you call it? Like, their blog or their whatever on their website tells you like basic strategies. And the blog actually said to women is that you should accuse him of some kind of sexual assault or abusing the kids or something, violence. They basically said lie as a strategy. Like, if you do that in the beginning, your case will be much stronger. So, and now that's taken down because that became public information. And even like even the biased family courts in Nevada were like, what the fuck? Like, you're public. This is how bad it is. It's so bad that a lawyer wrote that on their company blog as a basic form of advice for women is to claim false abuse, make false allegations straight off the bat, and then you'll get the upper hand and then win the case. And guys have been saying, this has been saying behind closed doors, like, no, it's creeped out to actually a blog, a physical live blog. I found it because I was reading I was part of a Facebook group. I think it's called War. It's like, if you search for it, you can find it. War, men in Vegas, custody, whatever, divorce, on Facebook group. And they post, basically just totally outrageous things. And that was one of them they posted. And then after that group posted it, I went to it, and then it got deleted. So, that's the level. Not only is making a false allegation like basic advice to women these days, but I mean, like written down, like it's so incredible. Like, and then guys go through and they're like, wait, she said a lot of things that weren't true, and then I proved they weren't true, and the judge still said it against me. And I can tell you from experience, that's the way it works. Once you've been smeared, then you have to spend the rest of the case talking like you're guilty. And that makes you guilty in people's minds, because that's the way the human mind works. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And so eventually, it's not that the judge will... The reason why they recommend false allegation isn't because the allegations are going to stick. It's just simply to smear your name, to make it impossible for you to defend yourself, because now you have these new things to defend yourself. And then there's another one, right? I could go to the things I was called, but it's just outrageous. And then you prove them wrong, and then it doesn't really change anybody's mind, because the way the human mind works, once you hear someone talking about something for so long, you kind of start having your doubts, right? And I don't blame people for having, and I don't blame lawyers for being smart and figuring out things that outsmart the system and, hacks and things. But what I'll say is what I will not do is lie. And I will tell you that it is not safe to marry or date in the West. Okay, these women, this is the way women act in private with men. And we're talking a young woman here. Absolute madness. Absolute madness. Sexual assault, boom! The minute they didn't do what she wanted, the second sexual assault charge or claim.
No. Yes, she is. Dad, help me. Please help me. Please help me. Get off me.
Stop.
Get off me.
Stop. Resisting. Now you're getting a felony.
Get off me. Stop touching me.
Stop resisting.
Stop touching me.
Stop resisting.
Stop touching me. He is mentally ill. Stop touching me. Oh, my arm.
Sit
Stop
car.
it.
Sit car.
Stop it. Can you please put the emergency in the car? I don't want to have to help you.
Now, in case you didn't get that, or a little bit dense, she claimed sexual assault maybe how many times? So we're supposed to believe as men that it's very rare, never happens. The minute there's a camera, she claimed it like 10 times, and the other girl did too. The other girl, both these women claimed sexual assault when they were being arrested. So it seems like that's what they do when they're being arrested. Modern women now, they're going to claim sexual assault because and it makes sense because they've claimed sexual assault and violence in family courts for years. And now women think they have the right to do that, basically. And again, you can't blame women. And I don't blame women. I blame the legal system and the society at large, for not protecting men. If and I say this many times, the guys say, oh, you're saying it's about women. Listen, it's not about women or men. If you make a system and make the rules and they allow certain people to get away with certain things, they are going to do it. Men would be just as evil over time if men were allowed to play the system. That's why you have laws. That's why there's cops. You know what I mean? It's because people don't always do right things. Sometimes they do wrong things. And that's why you have ways to stop these things, right? It's not a gender thing. It's like, but society's just had this blind spot. And the thing is, I'll just end on this. They don't have a blind spot for women, doing the M word so much or leading a cartel, but they have it for men, relationships. That's where the big blind spot is. Now there's a lot of argument that women get away with traffic stops almost all the time. They don't get it. That's why women's driving records are better. It's because they get stopped and they get warnings. And men don't. They get a ticket, right? So it looks like men are bad drivers. Actually, dangerous drivers are being let go and not penalized, right? And so that's where that is, right? But this is like literally where we're at. Like, this is like sexual assault 10 times in public, cameras everywhere, woman's doing it.
Like, do you guys have like some sort of commercial health insurance?
Now fight us, okay?
What are you so scared of? I don't want to get back like you. I hurt them. Why don't I get no, don't touch me. See? You're touching me again. Stop it. Open the door for me. Stop touching. I don't want to. No, what are you doing now? Really? What? Say anything you're going to do. Just go and walk and do stuff. That's all.
So I don't know how many more false sexual assault charges there, but there's many times, right? It's basically any time they move her, and that's what guys deal with in the privacy of their own home. No camera, no legal support, nobody believes you. It's very traumatizing. It is extremely terrifying because your life can be ruined by one little mistake as a guy. You, as a man in the West, you're literally walking on eggshells. And I'm not talking about eggshells where you are doing wrong. I'm talking about you're just trying to live your fucking life. You're trying to go to school. You're trying to work. You're trying to have a baby. You're trying to have relationships. And your life is like one little mistake. And it's just fucking hammer time. Like hammer comes down and it's over for you. You're not going to get another job. You're going to lose your house. You're going to lose your car. You're going to lose your kids. And, and people wonder why men take the rope, It's not because, it's because of this utter hopelessness and lack of ability to change anything. And just like exasperation that this is happening to men. This is a guy's life these days. You're going to deal with women like this, just like this. Yeah, this is not unusual. You're going to deal with a woman like this in your life. She just goes on and on and on.
We are not a co-op. We are not a corporation. We are not a co-op. You're not a cop. But anyway, my dad is obviously like demented, and he's got like an issue that I can't diagnose, right? I don't know what to do because he's
just attacking her father, who, presumably paid for rehab, has taken care of her whole life, and now she's in her 20s, right? And he's had enough, and he just gonna put down his foot this day, and good for him. But I think for you alone, sitting home listening to this, I think the lesson that I think to learn is that it's unacceptable to live in such a society, And there's so many, especially with nomadic work now, there's so many options. And you don't even have to stay in one place. You can zip in and out. I'm not saying leave forever and never come back. I'm saying, you don't have to be stuck somewhere. It's different when you're visiting. When you live somewhere, it can get a bit rough, right? You get locked in, right? You have a lot of freedom that you don't know about that will allow you to stay out of these situations. And I hope you see the reality of a biased, essentially evil system that will crush you without a moment's notice, without warning. And once you understand that, a man comes to his senses and says, you know what? Before I started listening to this channel, I didn't really understand. It's like, now I know it could happen to me. And it will. And I'm not going to let that happen. It's not right for you. It's not right for your ancestors that worked so hard to stay alive to protect your genes. It's not right for your parents that stayed up all late at night to bring you to the hospital, give you medicines. Like, you are an important, valuable person to this world. And this outrageous injustice and just inhumane lack of attention to this and the utter stripping of your manhood is just not right. And you don't have to put up with it. Don't fight against it, because this system is entrenched. It ain't changing in your life. But what you can do is have a great life. And that is the truth. You can have, despite all this craziness, you can have a fucking great life. Even if you dealt with this in the past. Because I have dealt with it. No, you can live a great life. Keep learning the truth. Find a great group of friends. This is why I do summits. Guys meet each other. Guys make lifelong friends. You are the 6 people that you surround yourself with, right? And when you need to make changes, that ain't going to happen with the same 6 people. I'll tell you that. You need some fresh fucking blood in there. Not all of them, because good friends are good friends. You want to keep those. But you want some fresh blood. And you can do it. It doesn't matter where you are, how much money you have. You don't have to be a sitting duck. You're not a sitting duck. And this is fucking outrageous. The way you've been treated, the way your brother, your father, other men, it's totally outrageous. No need to talk about it. But now you see, and it's like, what do I need to do to have a great life? How can I avoid all this and just have a fucking great life? Behind door 1 is endless run-ins like this and frustrations with this. And then behind door 2 is happiness. I took door 2. And I recommend you should too. All right. Thanks for listening.